I think with sound it's more direct, it's more immediate. So I would say the affective, emotional part of our way of being maybe is more involved with sound than images. Identity, I don't like it very much actually. And I think that the relationship between sound and identity would be a way to think in terms of an envelope, what an envelope is, but how would you say, a porous envelope, not a very I don't know how to say that in English. An envelope that enables to the communication between inside and outside with sounds, and this has been worked by some psychologists or psychiatrists in terms of how is it possible to have a personal identity. We know that some of the pathologies are related to our capacity or not to establish a difference between ourselves and the outside. And with sound, I think that is a very interesting and problematic kind of question, because sounds, we are always we don't have this barrier, we don't have really that way of distancing. We are more like a kind of relationship which involves us and the body as much as the outside. So it's like more like kind of a very deep and strong relationship between the exterior. So it's the identity doesn't, I mean, kind of lose its maybe it's, yeah, identity most of the time is associated with differentiation. And with sounds, for example, especially in all kind of situations, actually, the sound enables us to be part of the whole, I would say, the whole. So, I mean, the differentiation between myself and the outside is much less obvious than other senses, maybe. Okay, well, I wrote my PhD thesis about that, so I could talk a few hours about it. Okay. Maybe I would say, first of all, that I wouldn't agree with our basic representation, which is wearing headphones, for example, in public places, is a way to really cut ourselves to the world. It can be that, but it can not be that. I mean, that's obvious, because I know that people have different ways to use headphones, and some of the ways are more subtle than just cutting yourself from the environment. For example, it will be, well, I adjust my the intensity of the music I'm listening to the place I'm in. And if I go, for example, if I cross a construction site, I will of course get the volume up in order to be able to hear the music, but when I pass it, then I have no need for this high pitch, so I would bring it down, for example. So that would be a thing to say, well, there's a kind of an adjustment of what you hear depending on the travel you have or the path you have. The second way would be to say it is a way to aesthetize the world. Like you listen to music like for a trip you do every day from your home to work, for example, and you will listen to different music every day. So it will be like a kind of repetitive trip, but at the same time you will have a different experience because you have a different kind of music. So, and you will be in a sense, you will create kind of a movie situation where you are at the same time the spectator, but also the actor of the movie you're in it, in a way. So that would be a second thing. The third one, the last one, would be to say it is maybe a way to perceive or to relate to each other very, very differently than usual, in the sense that, for example, people I would talk to who are listening to music through headphones would tell me, well, sometimes I can see people talking to each other or walking in the streets while I listen to music, and I notice that they're in sync or they're not in sync, or so I would notice things that I don't notice at all usually. So it would be a way to rediscover ordinary situation from this. So in a way, I see it. Of course, I mean, you can see some of the limits and some of the danger of this kind of device. But at the same time, I think it is a way to recreate, or at least to try to experience a little bit differently our everyday situations of the life. Well, of course, I think that's one very obvious answer, which is architects works with drawings, with visual material, first of all. So, of course, that's the first thing. Also, because a building is made of concrete material and has some very defined forms, either complex or simple, whatever, but it has a form that you can use like a limit. You can delimit the building on a map, for example, which is not the case at all with sound. With sounds, you have another kind of spatiality involved, like sound environment can be much more dynamic. For example, it would depend through time, the way you feel the space, or you would have this, for example, the experience of space as something which is oppressing, or on contrary, you can breathe in because the sound is more or less powerful or more or less intense. And so all this kind of dynamic phenomenon, which involves also not only geometric forms, but more maybe round or more diffuse kind of spatiality. So that's very hard to represent. So I would say maybe architects don't really use the sound as a way to think or to design, because we don't have really the instruments, the tools that could enable people to think space in terms of sound. We miss the tools, maybe. I think a sound is never negative in itself. I wouldn't say this one is negative or this one. I think it is always depending on the situation and the context. So I would say there's none like good or bad sounds. Well, negative sound could be a sound that prevents me to do what I need to do, what I want to do. It could be a sound that I don't like at that time because it prevents me to sleep, or because it disturbs me when I work, or because, so there's like thousands of different situations, but it's not the sound itself, but the relationship between the sound and the situation I am at the time I hear the sound, I would say.